Today on Straight Talk Africa, a look at the developing political situation in Uganda. To what extent is the political playing field leveled in the democratically challenged East African country? That's coming up next right here on Straight Talk Africa. Hello, welcome to Straight Talk Africa, live from the Voice of America headquarters here in Washington. I am Shaka. Today, it's a discussion on the current democratic challenges in Uganda. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni says external players should refrain from interfering in the country's affairs, days after Ugandan top musician turned lawmaker Bobi Wine called for international action against Uganda following his alleged torture by security forces. My colleague Paul Ndiho has more.
Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni on Sunday responded to Bobi Wine's allegations of torture and warned against foreign interference in the country's politics.
It is important that external players refrain from interfering in the internal affairs of other countries. Interfering in the internal affairs of other countries is morally and practically wrong. There has been so much talk about the torture by the security forces of people like Honorables Bobi Wine and Zaki. What if those allegations turn out to be false? How will the accusers, local and foreign, rectify the injustice they have done to the security forces?
Last week, the U.S. lawyer for opposition lawmaker Robert Kyagulanyi, a musician well known by his stage name Bobi Wine, called on the United States to stop funding Uganda's military as a punitive measure against what Kyagulanyi said was torture by authorities in his country.
I was brutally tortured by some armed soldiers from the SFC. Beaten, brutalized, and abused, and later locked up in the military barracks. Charges were later dropped, and I was taken to a civil prison, and finally I was bailed up. My skin keeps peeling. This blister that I received, all this hand has been peeling. I got injections that I don't know about, and I spent quite a long time on cuffs, shackled both hands and legs.
The Ugandan lawmaker is in the United States undergoing treatment for injuries he suffered at the hands of Ugandan security forces while in detention following his arrest on August 14. However, Ugandan officials have steadfastly denied that Bobi Wine was tortured while in custody. Authorities have charged Wine with treason for allegedly stoning President Yoweri Museveni's motorcade. Robert Amsterdam, Bobi Wine's lawyer, told those in attendance at the National Press Club news conference that he was putting the Ugandan government on notice.
And we want the American taxpayer to know that the American taxpayer is funding this. The military equipment we are supplying to Uganda is being used in a war of terror against Uganda's citizens.
Many of his followers said they feel excluded and alienated by the nation's current political establishment. However, in a statement released to the media, Ofono Opondo, a Uganda government spokesperson and Uganda Media Center executive director, rejected Amsterdam's claim against the Ugandan government. I quote, "If Bobi Wine was tortured or injected with unknown substances, as being claimed, he should quickly return to Uganda to raise those issues before the court, where the trial will be, and they shall transparently be investigated and the culprits punished." He added that we strongly reject Mr. Amsterdam's reference of the Uganda government as a criminal enterprise, because Uganda is governed following our democratic constitution laws and rules. So far, the US has not commented on Mr. Wine's comments or those of President Yoweri Museveni. In December 2017, the Constitution was amended to remove the presidential age limit of 75 years, meaning President Museveni can run again for president in 2021. Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Washington.
Thanks, Paul, for that interesting report. Joining us now are two distinguished guests. Robert Sentamu Kyagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, a Ugandan member of parliament and a mega artist, and Mar Sebuja Katende, the Ugandan ambassador to the United States, foreign potential and extraordinary. I have to say, gentlemen, that I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to have the opportunity to host you on Straight Talk Africa.
It's a pleasure, Shaka, and I also salute you, fellow Ugandans back home and fellow citizens of the world across the globe.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shaka, for inviting us, and greetings to the viewers.
I must congratulate you, Ambassador Katende, that you are the first Ugandan ambassador to come to this show since perhaps 2001. The last ambassador on this show being former Ugandan ambassador to the United States, Edith Sempara Bafakulera.
I apologize on their behalf.
You're most welcome, and I certainly look forward to doing business with you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Let me come to you immediately. Bobi, you've been on this show before, and it is a pleasure, of course, having you for the second time, except, of course, this time seems to be under very different circumstances. You came on a clutch. On clutches, why?
Well, I came on clutches because I was in deep pain. I'm thankful to God and indeed to the doctors back home and here in the United States that have been treated well, and I'm graduating day by day. That right now I'm only using a walking stick, and being the strong man that I am, I hope to soon be on my 2 feet.
What happened to you?
Well, it shouldn't be news to you, Shaka, and neither is it news to anybody out there that I was brutally tortured.
You'll be surprised. I'm sure there are millions in the audience who probably have not heard about that.
Yeah, it is not something that I should be proud of. I was brutally tortured by a section of the Ugandan military called the Special Forces Command, and this is the section of the military that is charged with guarding the president. I was beaten, kept on handcuffs. A lot of despicable things were done to me, but I'm here and I'm still alive.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
From what I have actually read and what I have seen, the Ugandan government says, on the contrary, you were never tortured. Those
visited much in the barracks where I was being incarcerated, and indeed wrote a report